Good afternoon and welcome back again. Today we'll do the last segment of our PRISM user portal presentation, and this will then be your last session before we go live on Monday. As I've mentioned in previous sessions, the portal is available to you now to start using. Over the course of today and tomorrow you will get the desktop version rolled out as well. If for any reason your machine doesn't pick it up, do get in touch next week with the service desk and we'll ensure that gets pushed out. But in the meantime, you can access the portal at any time through support.luminatech.co.uk. And just as a recap, that's the address that you were using, and the desktop version will be the little icon that you see there. So we're going to dive into ticketing now and having a look at why we would use a portal. And I started talking yesterday on how this is your route to faster resolution times, and I think that there's a really important point I want to make in terms of the perception of ticketing and really sort of weaning people away from using email. And I accept that email is a very fast and approachable mechanism for being able to send in a ticket. You can just fire up an Outlook email, type in that you need some help and send the email on. The problem we have is that all too often those requests come in with almost no information, and the worst case scenario, and it does happen and it actually happens surprisingly frequently, is we will get a ticket coming in saying help needed, and that's it, and we have absolutely no idea what the person is alluding to, what help they need, which systems they're needing help with, what the nature of the problem is, etc. And then we can waste inordinate amounts of time trying to get in touch with the individual, leaving voicemails, sending emails back and forth. And we play this little sort of dance back and forth, and eventually we're able to gather the information we need and we can then resolve the issue. And I've got a little slide just to re-clarify that around this sort of ticket workflow. So this top bar, do I need help? So this is your decision process internally. Am I needing to request some support? And so you will spend a degree of time evaluating that, and then you'll create a ticket by logging it via email. The grey section then is us needing to gather that further information from you, and so too much time currently is wasted in that back and forth, and even where the email is more descriptive, inevitably we have to find out more information. We will then work on the issue to resolve it, and we'll then notify you, and that will take an amount of time. That same issue, if we can actually structure the information gathering in an informative and sort of led way, then we can reduce down that information gathering phase. So still taking the same levels of consideration for all the other phases of creating the ticket, providing the additional information, we still spend as long resolving it, but then we notify you, and you see that straight away there's a time saving for you as the end user. If we can then actually give you the answer straight away, so where I showed you yesterday in the knowledge management, that as you're typing in the ticket request, we can feed you the answer directly through the portal, then you don't have to go through any of that process of creating the ticket, providing the information, us processing it, and then notifying you. You get your answer and you have a massive time saving. So let's dive in now and actually have a look at how you go about creating a ticket and how you interface with us for those service requests. Let me just get to my portal. So yesterday we had a quick look through the knowledge side of it. Today we're going to look at these report a problem and request service. And on the home page, that's these two icons, reporting a problem and requesting service. We'll also have a very quick look at ticket updates and the Office 365 status as well on there. Let's start with reporting a problem. So this is where we're going to look at those information gathering phases, and we're starting now to structure based on some broad level categories, and it's unlikely we're going to change these ones. So this is more or less now the final iteration of this. So dividing it down so that straight away as you come into this section, you are already sort of being led or guided into what's your issue. Is it a problem with your email or some files, or with a network, or with your phone, or with software? So let's take email. So you know you've got a problem with email. We click on my email, and what are you having a problem with? You can't receive an email, you can't open one, you need help, having issues with Outlook. So let's say I can't receive email. So it's going to then bring up this ticket, and here we're asking one question, and that's, I think, one of the key points I want to get across, is that we're not creating an onerous structure that requires you to fill out endless forms before you can even submit a ticket, but we just get some basic questions out of the way that give us a starting point so that we can get to that resolution faster. So I can't receive an email. Who from? Anyone? And do you need to put any further information in? Are you actually reporting on behalf of someone else? If you are, well, who are you reporting it from? It'll then bring up this additional information. So let's just say anyone, and you click submit. So it's just a couple of extra steps, and you can see straight away it's brought up our ticket number. So that's been logged in the system, and we're going to use this one now as one of our examples moving forward on statuses. If I look at some of the others, having a problem with my printer, having problems printing or scanning, or having problems with print quality. Having a problem with print quality, or which printer is it and what issue you're experiencing. So really we're not asking you to type any more information beyond what you'd normally type in an email, but we're just providing a little bit of guidance around that so that we can structure that information gathering. So that's the reporting of the issue. But what about when you're requesting a service? So you want an email distribution group being set up, or you need a new laptop, or you want to be connected to a printer. So that's all under these services. So essentially, if you think about the difference between a service request and an incident is something that you previously could do but now can't, and a service request is something you previously couldn't do but now want to be able to do. And I think that's a good way of really sort of clarifying that. So the service catalogue will come up again with the top reference request. So as your peers are requesting things, this will dynamically change, but you can then boil it down into categories. And I've just put a couple in here as example ones. So this one, new amend distribution group. So a lot of them, we're just bundling them together to try and sort of cut down on the size of the service catalogue. So this is a very frequent one. A lot of organisations want distribution groups, so they might want to send an email to all secretaries at whatever the domain name is, or they might be wanting to set up an inbound distribution group for recruitment so that all addresses coming in, or all emails coming in, go to the HR team around recruitment. So we'll use those distribution groups for different things. So if you want to request a distribution group, you click submit, and are you creating a distribution group or amending it? So we'll create a new one, and now it's asked a few more questions. So what's it going to be called? So let's call it recruitment. Distribution email address, well, some people might want it to be HR at domain name. Who's going to be the group owner, etc., and who should be the recipient of those emails? So we're going to have recipient A, recipient B, recipient C, etc. I'll just type some random letters. And does it want to be externally published? Not all email distribution groups should be published externally. Indeed, actually, you probably want the majority not to be. But an HR one, a recruitment one, absolutely, we need to be told that. But that's actually a tick box that we need to select. So by default, when we create a distribution group, it is internal only. We have to go in manually and set it to be an externally published one, and therefore it's accessible to the outside world. Otherwise, we will not know that and will default to the more protective stance, which is to keep it internal. You may then find yourselves publishing it in an advert and it then not working. Obviously, this one's fairly self-explanatory, but we'll say yes to being externally published, and you click submit. And again, now it's submitted the ticket. So we've got 2 requests now sitting in the queue. So how do we actually then go and look at these tickets and see what status they're in? So that's handled under support tickets. So within here, you will then see the tickets that have been logged. Now, the reason they're not showing up in my demo is that I'm actually under a generic user account, and so it hasn't been able to attribute these back to me. So I'm going to look at these tickets as an admin, and I'll go to the same section and we'll be able to see those 2 tickets. So there we've got the new amend distribution group, and I can go in and have a look at that ticket. So within here, I can look at the timeline. There we've got the note that's been added, the details of the ticket, it's still in a status of new, and how we sort of interact with that ticket. So if I then take these ticket options, so this is the email distribution group on here, and you can see it's captured all those details, recruitment, HR, etc. Now you might want to add some further information in. By and send that on, and you'll see that it will start to create that threaded view. So rather than those emails back and forth that currently is how we communicate with you about the tickets, and are all too often lost in the sort of the myriad of further emails that we get, this one will give you that option of just being able to get straight in there. You can attach files, you can add further bits in, and you'll see the timeline in there. And so this creates the whole chronology. If you resolve the ticket yourself, you don't need help anymore, you can then come in and actually just close it. You can say close it because I've resolved it, or cancel it because it's not needed anymore. And actually we'll say, okay, let's just close that one. And that ticket will now go, if I refresh the view, it will go across into our closed tickets. And so we'll see that across there. So that's how we then can follow up on those tickets. There are a number of other ways that we can interact with a ticket, and also we will still send you the email ones for now. A lot of the feedback we get, and it's a difficult balancing act for us, is that sometimes people feel we over communicate, and obviously from our side we want to ensure that when there is an update on a ticket that we can tell you about it, but we also recognize that everyone is overloaded with emails. We don't want to have to keep sending you emails, so for the time being we'll keep the emails as minimal as possible, but they will still come. But one of the flaws of our previous ticketing system, and the underlying ticketing system is still the same, we are still using the same help desk software, this is just the front interface to that, was that we would send you an update and you wouldn't actually know what the update would refer to. So we say, oh, we've done this, and the underlying ticket history wouldn't be there. And sometimes some of you would have clicked the view ticket link at the bottom and it would have taken you to the old portal, the portal that comes with the ticketing system, which was fairly immature and not particularly sort of functional, and no one knew their credentials or how they'd get into it. Now when we send you that email and you want to view the ticket that the email relates to, and you click view ticket, it will take you into this portal and you'll be able to then dive in and be able to see that ticket timeline and what that relates to. So that's really sort of the wrap around that. I said I'd mention very briefly the Office 365 status. So here you'll be able to look at the ticket or the issue status of Office 365. So yesterday in Knowledge, I showed you the Office 365 updates, and this is the new features coming in. But the Office 365 status found under support is where Microsoft are publishing what is happening with their service. So we can see there are 2 advisories with Exchange. If I expand that, I can see there's service degradation with email timely delivery. So perhaps you might sort of be sitting there thinking, well, I'm not getting the emails through very quickly. There seem to be a delay. Clients told me that they've sent me an email, but I haven't had it yet. I can have a look here and go, oh, there is an email delay. Now, there is a problem with this in that the Exchange advisories, these 2 here, this is under Microsoft's control. I can't relate which of these 2, so it's a bit potluck when I click in here as to which one it's going to be. But if I click open this one, that's obviously the wrong one. That's the management and provisioning. So let's come into this one. Some users may be unable to send email messages. Okay, so it's actually relating to outbound, not inbound messages, but users are getting non-delivery reports when sending email messages. And so these are all the updates directly from Microsoft in relation to their service. Now, this isn't intended to supersede our own management and knowledge of it, but it will just give you an opportunity when something isn't working. You can just quickly check, is this a problem with Microsoft or is this a problem at my end? And it may be that if you come in here and you can see, I can see Office 365 is down, perhaps I don't need to log a ticket, and I'll just have a look in an hour and see if it's back up again and see what that status is. So this is fed directly from Microsoft, and we'll obviously keep an eye on it ourselves and be able to advise accordingly. If we feel that there's a major outage, we'll send a broadcast message out to everyone around that. So that's really the knowledge management and the request management in a nutshell. Quick recap on those then. Reporting a problem, so that's when you have an issue, so something that was working and now isn't. So you'll come in and say that my printer's not working, my phone, can't hear anything on the desk phone. And there's only a couple of extra questions, and we really want to encourage you to not be afraid of doing it this way. Please don't see this as being further burden or a more complex mechanism of doing it, but actually start to really sort of see the benefits of us being able to deliver resolutions much faster. And then on the request side, your request service, I gave the example of the distribution group, but it may be that we are setting up a new user, setting up OneDrive. Do you need multiple desk monitors set up? So there's going to be hardware ones. We need to do some harmonization exercises on the color codes. You'll see, by the way, that there's probably a lot stacked up that we need to do by Monday, which is when we go live with this. We are well aware of that. We didn't want to delay getting the portal out. We're quite excited about the portal. We want you to start using it, but also by getting it out into the real world, we'll be able to start tailoring it better and really understanding what works for you and what doesn't. So we'll improve this, and the journey will never stop. We will constantly be adding more knowledge, more service requests, tailoring it down, keeping it relevant. So do give us feedback all the way through, please. And indeed, when you're logging tickets, when you're working with the tickets, there's an opportunity to give us that feedback as you go along. You'll see all the categories on there. So some of you won't be able to see it depending on your job role. So HR is where new users, departing users, litigation holds, etc. There'll be much more sort of HR related segments in there. But if you're requesting a new employee, first name, last name, display name, what their job title is, their start date, do they need a new PC? If they need a new PC, what type of PC do they want? So it's a structured set of questions. So hopefully that's given you a little whirlwind tour. The best way of getting used to this, of learning it, is just using it. It's very, very self-explanatory. It's been deliberately tailored to look much like the Office 365 interface, so very clean, very intuitive, and we were really, really impressed when we first discovered this as a potential candidate for our portal requirements. So we've invested in it now. As I said yesterday, it improves all the time. We're improving it, the vendors are improving it. So please start using it, give us your feedback, and hopefully you'll find this a much better gateway into IT services generally. So that's the end of our 3 presentations. Hopefully that's given you 3 little bite-sized chunks of learning around it. We looked at the general navigation, we looked at the knowledge management, and today we've looked at the support tickets around that. If you have any further questions, do get in touch with us through the normal service desk channels. Otherwise, if I just quickly check our Q&A panel, I think we are okay on questions. So start using it, enjoy it. We hope that you'll get a lot of benefit out of it. And thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day.